like a boss.
Anyways, with that out the way, today's video is gonna be like a little treat. This is a video that I've been working on for many months. I wasn't intentionally going to release it for this channel. It was initially for the men's channel, but because this channel is more of a channel that I use, it's more creative. There's much less thought into it per se, but more freestyle. I'm gonna make this video first here as a little rehearsal, but at the same time, you guys are gonna get a lot of value from it, okay? And so I'm gonna teach you guys how to have an interesting personality, how to have that personality that's magnetic in nature, and how to unlock your personality. And this is from an expert from the book Psycho-Cybernetics. It's chapter 12, and these are the notes that I took from it. And I really found this extremely useful because of the concepts that it talks about, and it relates to many of the things that I talk about here specifically. And so this will enable you to actually be yourself, you know, your true self. All right, because let me say something. Every single person's actual personality is attractive in nature. The problem is that people have their personality inside, but it's inhibited. They don't let it out because of their fears, because of fear of judgment. For example, why do we love children so much? Why do we love babies so much? We don't love babies because what they can do for us or because of what they have. You know, we love babies because of their lack of inhibition. We love babies because they're actually being themselves. You know, when they express themselves, we find it funny. Like, you know the channel, the show that used to be called Kids Say the Darndest Things. It's because the kids are being honest and it's adorable. You know, for the most part, babies are burdened in the beginning, so that they don't have much to offer per se. You know, and again, it's not like I hate kids. You know, I like kids for 5 minutes. You be like, oh, aren't you so cute? Oh, yes, you. Oh, here, take it back. But the problem is that as you grow up, people encourage your honesty, but there comes a certain point when people say, you know what, that's enough. You know, you're growing up, so stop being yourself. And suddenly those standards are placed upon you, you feel judged, and so you begin to get feedback, and your personality goes from being genuine to a conditioned and robotic response. You become, rather than being an actual person, you become an accumulation of different responses, of predictable responses, okay? So you're not really yourself. You just have a conditioned self that has been formed as a result of the environment that you were raised in. That's why people feel trapped. You know, that's why people feel unfulfilled, all right? So this is more of how to unlock your personality, because inside of you, there's a personality inside that's extremely attractive if you just let it out. You see those people, for example, people like my videos, not because, okay, the content is part of it, but because of the way I express it. Like, it seems more genuine, it seems real. It's because I did a pickup for many years, right? Unsuccessfully, but for the most part. So I practiced being uninhibited. You know, when you're approaching a girl, you have to be uninhibited. You have to, and also you're getting a lot of feedback. So in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to actually be yourself, because let me tell you something. As soon as I learned to be myself, women became naturally attractive to me. The same thing with women is that if you actually learn how to be yourself, you're gonna naturally be more attractive, okay? So when someone so what's the difference between having a good personality and having a bad personality? Having a good personality is a personality that's not inhibited, all right? You see, that's a personality that doesn't have those mental roadblocks, the judgment, the fear of being judged, all right? That's what having a good personality is. Having a bad personality is being inhibited, all right? So, for example, the symptoms of a bad personality is shyness, stuttering, hesitation, anger, victim mentality, not fully expressing yourself, fear of expressing yourself. All of those are symptoms of having a bad personality, okay? So mind you, it's not bad because of like you're bad. It's bad because of the inhibition, of the blockage, your internal blocks that you have, all right? So what's the cause of the inhibition? It's excessive negative feedback. That's the cause of inhibition, excessive negative feedback. So the negative feedback in reality is there to actually modify your response. Okay, it's telling you, look, what you're doing is wrong. Don't stop what you're doing, but what you're doing is wrong. Modify it. The problem is that sometimes people become too sensitive to the feedback. So rather than modifying, they completely stop. They literally become stunted. The growth is stunted. That's why people become shy and secluded. They go into their own little shells, in their own little cocoon of insecurity. For example, let's say you're a computer programmer and you're creating a program. I used to do programming before. And so when you create a program, you're gonna have bugs. The bugs are mistakes in your code. So when there's a bug, the computer, whatever program you're using, gives you feedback telling you, hey, look, there's an error here. What this means is that it's not to stop the whole program and start all over again. It means to go back into the code and modify what's going on, find a correction and fix it. So the feedback that people are getting is to modify their responses, not to stop it altogether. But the problem is that they actually stop. They go into themselves, you know? And so you begin to think that trying and expressing yourself is wrong because of all of the negative feedback that you're getting. You see, like you said something and someone's offended and you're like, oh, this is wrong. And so because you're too sensitive, you begin associating, you know what? I can't really be myself because all I get is negative feedback. I can't do the things that I want to do because people are going to judge me negatively. So the response that how the brain sees people's reactions is that, hey, look, what you're doing is wrong. So they can't really be themselves. They're afraid to be themselves. And so the real cause of the sensitivity that most people have is because of the culture that they live in. For the most part, the culture that people live in tells them, hey, look, expressing yourself is wrong. Dating certain people is wrong. Don't do this. It's irresponsible to do this. And so there's a moral obligation not to be yourself. There's a moral obligation not to follow your dreams. You see, and so as a result, you limit yourself. You limit yourself, and you don't really live a life that you really want to live. That's why people become bitter. That's why people begin to hate life, right? Because they become trapped in their own mind-made prisons. That's why women aren't as sexually expressive as men are, because women receive negative feedback for being sexual. You see what I'm saying? It's very similar to that. All right, and so if society would accept people for who they are, for whatever they express, you're gonna see a totally different world. You're gonna see people be completely different from who they are. That's the reason why I'm so like carefree, because this is something that I worked at, and I'm lucky that I used pickup, which is to say learning how to seduce women, as a vehicle to actually free myself to become who I really wanted to be. And so when we live in this PC culture, in this culture of you better watch out what you say, you don't really get to know who you are because it's being clouded by so many standards that are placed upon you on people who themselves don't meet their own standards. And so that's why when we are judged or criticized for our work, we become too sensitive. That's why most people don't want to learn how to approach women, okay, because they fear their rejection. That's why women are afraid of expressing themselves, because they fear being judged by other women. All right, and so we are actually denying ourselves of the one true teacher that will teach us to free ourselves, which is the negative feedback. I mean, you cannot do things perfectly. You are gonna make mistakes, but we are denying ourselves of the one true teacher that will enable us to actually grow and actually unlock our true personalities. For example, that's why people who are deaf cannot speak right, because they're not getting the feedback. When you speak, you get feedback and you hear yourself speaking, so you know what you're saying right or wrong. That's why. So because they don't have that feedback, which is to say they don't see the mistakes that they're making when they're speaking, they can't really talk, and so they become mute as well. And so that's very similar to when you avoid negative feedback, which is to say when you avoid putting yourself out there, when you avoid rejection, when you try to modify who you are simply to satisfy somebody else, you don't really get to grow because you're running away from the one true teacher. For example, when I teach guys how to meet women, one of the main things I always tell guys, look, record yourself as you interact with the women. Record the voice so that you can hear yourself speaking, so that you can hear yourself being needy around people. All right? Why? Because it's important for you to get feedback on the things that you're doing wrong and the things you're doing right. But if you're afraid of hearing yourself speak, that means you're afraid of the negative feedback, and as a result, you're not going to improve. You're going to keep doing the things that are not working, and that's called insanity. All right? So negative feedback is vitally important, but we have associated pain to it. All right? So how should we receive negative feedback? How should we learn from our mistakes? 1, they should be unconscious. 2, they have to be in the moment and spontaneous. And 3, they should not be excessive to the point of a stagnation. What do I mean by that? Unconscious is when it's happening in the moment, you just notice it. You notice it, you see it happening, all right? You see, okay, I fucked up. You just notice it, like you know it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're saying I fucked up, rather than you know it, you observe it, all right? And the other one, it has to be in the moment, which is to say you don't plan it out. Like you see yourself, and in the moment you correct it. Oh, I fucked up. In your mind, you notice yourself fucking up, and all you do, it's kind of like if you take the wrong turn. Oh, I took the wrong turn. I'll take the other turn. I'll take the left turn. All right, you just happen in the moment, because when you involve your mind, when you just think, what's gonna happen is that when you fuck up, you're like, I fucked up, and so you start thinking, oh my god, I can't believe this is going wrong, and so your mind is in the past because of what you did, but your body's in the present, so you're not really there, and it's gonna appear as a damn, this person is weird, or you act too cocky to compensate, or you're shut down, and so you go into your own head. But the point is that you won't be yourself. So the more that thinking mind is talking, the further away from your true self you move away. That's why when you're noticing your breath is very important. Noticing the breath removes your attention from your mind to the present moment. All right, and it should not be excessive, which is to say, if you fuck up, you can't say, oh, I fucked up, and like you kill yourself. Oh, I fucked up. No, you just oh, I fucked up. Okay, next, on to the next. See, it's not excessive. It doesn't affect you to the point of a stagnation. It affects you to the point where you take action and you fix the mistake at an unconscious level by simply noticing. So if it's too excessive, what's gonna happen is that, let's say that you disagree with the person. No, let's say that the guy disagrees with you, and simply because you want his approval, let's say you say, I love apples, and the guy says, I don't like apples. You're gonna say, you know what, I don't like apples too. I think apples are not that good. So you're changing who you are just for the person. That's excessive negative feedback. That's what's gonna happen, because you're carefully and consciously trying to impress the person. You're consciously trying to be yourself, consciously trying to project a certain aura. And so remember, that's you're doing that because of the excessive negative feedback. You're seeing yourself fucking up, you're seeing the reactions that you don't like, and so your solution is to go into your own head. Okay, that is not what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so rather than judging yourself, just observe yourself fucking up. All right, so for example, let me read to you a section of this book. It's Psycho-Cybernetics. Look, I read it so many times, it's like fucked up. So let me show you. It's on 172. Let me read you an expert that talks about that. This is about the conscious self-criticism that I'm talking about here, like talking to yourself and noticing you and fixing your mistake by using your conscious thoughts. And this is why it's a big mistake. It says, this has been proved by Dr. E. Colin Cherry of London, England, writing in the British scientific journal Nature, stated his belief that stuttering was caused by excessive monitoring. To test his theory, he equipped 25 severe stutterers with earphones through which a loud tone drowned out the sound of their own voice. When asked to read aloud from a prepared text under these conditions, which eliminated self-criticism, the improvement was remarkable. Another group of severe stutterer was trained in shadow talk, to follow as closely as possible and attempt to talk with a person reading from a text or voice on the radio or TV. After brief practice, the stutterers learned to shadow talk easily, and most of them were able to speak normally and correctly under these conditions, which obviated advanced criticism, which is to say thinking of what to say next, or thinking of what you should say later on in order to make the interaction better, and literally forced them to speak spontaneously and to synchronize speaking and correcting. See, at that moment, like fixing everything in that moment rather than thinking ahead or thinking in the past. So it's essentially you make a mistake and you just let go of it. Just observe your mistake and you just let go of it. Okay. Additionally, practicing shadow talk enabled the stutterers to learn how to speak correctly. When excessive negative feedback or self-criticism was eliminated, inhibition disappeared and performance improved. Which is to say, with your personality, when you stop judging yourself and stop thinking what others think of you, that excessive negative feedback, which inhibits your true personality, is going to leave, and so you're going to be able to express yourself more fully. When there was no time for worry or too much carefulness in advance, expression immediately improved. This gives you a valuable clue as to how we may disinhibit or release a locked up personality and improve performance in other areas. It's an amazing book. I'm telling you, you should read it. So for example, let me show you how excessive negative feedback causes you to not really be yourself. Have you ever tried to put a thread through a needle, right? When you put in a thread through a needle, you fuck up. You kind of like doing like that. Like you can't really, like you tremor, right? That's called purpose tremor. Why? Because when you're doing this normally without having to put it through a needle, you don't shake. But when you're careful, when you have an outcome in mind, you shake. And so that's because you have an outcome. You're trying to put it in through a certain place. So you're not really, so in the case of being ourselves, that purpose tremor is your fear, your shyness, your desire to win people over, to impress people. You see what I'm saying? And so it has the counter effect. Okay, so what you have to do is, a way to help is to become more relaxed and more outcome independent. Because you're tense, because you're afraid that who you are is not enough. And so you have to try to be something else. And in order to be something else, you have to use your brain, because those pathways haven't been created. And so you're going against the grain. You see? So remember, good personalities, which is to say personalities that are not inhibited, simply when they get feedback, from this case is like people's facial expression, their reaction to us, the good personality simply sense the feedback and act accordingly. They just sense it, they see it, rather than they judge it, like negative feedback, oh my God, he doesn't like me. They just see it and let go of it, all right? A bad personality focuses on the person's feedback, okay? And in a way, it says to themselves, how am I doing? They look at the person like, how am I doing? Do you like me now? Do you like me now? Do you like me now? You see, they're afraid of the negative feedback, so they're like, please like me, please like me. So you can see how a person will never be themselves, you see? And so the key to a good impression, like for example, the key to a good first impression is to let go of what other people think of you. To let go of it. You have to let go of it. When you're trying to manage impressions, you're not going to really be yourself. So self-consciousness in this case is when you are so in the moment that you just talk. So there's self-conscious and there's other consciousness. Other consciousness is when you're focusing on other people, focusing on their reactions. Self-consciousness is when you're so into the moment. All right. You're so into the moment that you're just focusing on how you feel and you're focusing on how you're expressing yourself. Okay, it's similar to speaking in camera. When I'm not speaking in camera, when I'm not on the camera, I speak more fluidly. But when I'm on camera, I sense that I'm more inhibited. All right, it's because there's less pressure. So it's kind of like, for example, English is my second language. So when I spoke English in the past, I used to be inhibited because I was afraid. And so I would stutter, I would sound shyer, I would speak lower, in my lower tone. And so that's because I didn't know English that much. That's because people used to make fun of me when I used to speak English. But when you get used to speaking English, suddenly you're more free. Suddenly you're able to you don't mind fucking up, but that's when you learn better. All right? But essentially you have to let go of the outcome. Because if you're worried about an outcome, you're gonna keep going into your head. So for example, when I do pickup, when I approach women in the past, I used to not be good. And the one thing that made women actually like me more is when I got rejected so many times that I said to myself, you know what, I give up. Like I literally gave up. I was like, you know what, I'm done trying to get girls to like me. But I still approached, but I said to myself, I'm not even gonna try to make them like me. So I would approach, giving up. Hey, what's up? I saw you and I thought you were cute. And so I was so depressed that I didn't care of the outcome because there was no way she was gonna make me feel any worse. All right. And so from that perspective, women actually liked me more. They liked me more not because I became better looking, but because I stopped giving a fuck about the outcome. It's that simple. And so there's a free-flowing aura to that kind of person, to that kind of personality. And so rather than focusing on the outcome, you begin to enjoy being yourself. You begin to enjoy being in the present moment. You enjoy what you say. You're focusing on having fun in that moment. All right. So the attention and the energy that was taken up on your mind is now transferred over to enjoying the moment. Okay. So a way to do this is to imagine as though you're in a situation where there's no pressure. So imagine as though for example, in my case is that I imagine myself playing with my dog. I imagine myself interacting with my dog. So when I would talk to a girl, I would just imagine myself that I'm talking to my dog. Now, you can use whoever you want, your sibling or whatever, but any person who you have a positive and a relaxed relationship. So when I talk to my dog, when I talk to girls thinking of my dog, I became more relaxed, more playful. And so it really changed the way I was coming across. And so women, the thing is that women actually started giving me their number because I was so relaxed and so present. And the real thing that's happening here is that because I'm fully expressing myself, I have released my personality. All right. So the reason why most people don't express themselves is because of the inhibition. All right. So expressing ourselves becomes wrong and punished, and having an opinion as a child brings punishment. All right. So we gotta reprogram that, and teach you and associate positive emotions with expressing yourself. So these are the solutions, the 3 solutions. 1, go the opposite direction and practice not caring and just talking. All right. So if you're someone who is inhibited, if you're someone who's afraid of being judged, if you're someone who is shy, go the opposite direction. Do the complete opposite. All right. As a guy, I am lucky that I had pickup, and so I was able to do it at a very consistent and very immersive level. But for women, you're gonna have to find a way for you to really fully express yourself in different situations. So if you're someone who's shy, talk a lot. Talk more than usual, because you want to find that equilibrium. Now you may say to yourself, don't we need some inhibition? Don't we need to learn to be quiet a little bit? Don't we need to learn to take a step back? Yes, but not you. Because you're so far into the other side of being inhibited, being shy, or being afraid to be judged, that's not for you. You know, you're doing too much of that. You need to do the opposite. You see what I'm saying? You need to go the opposite way. So it's similar to playing basketball. When you learn to shoot a basketball, you need to fuck up a lot, because if you don't fuck up, that means you're not gonna go through the beginning stages. You see what I'm saying? If you don't make mistakes, that means you're not learning. So if you're not making a lot of mistakes, that means you're not learning. When I learned pickup, when I was learning how to talk to girls, I was getting rejected a lot. I get more girls than most guys, but I get rejected a lot more than most guys. You see, I piss people off a lot more than most guys. All right, so that's one. The other one is don't think in advance. All right, fuck it up. Talk open and don't worry about what you're gonna say next. All right, when you're speaking to someone, just speak. Open that fucking mouth. Just talk. Now, if you're someone who doesn't talk, who talks a lot, shut the fuck up. You know, so all I'm saying is that go to the extreme. If you're someone who's too talkative, go to the other extreme, because you want to find that balance. All right, any extreme is in reality an inhibition. If you're too shy, you've been inhibited. If you're way too outgoing, you just talk way too much, you need that attention. That means you're getting attention because of fear of not getting attention. If you're too shy, that means you're shy because that means you don't want to be in the public eye because you're fear of being judged. So you need to find that middle path. All right. So the other one is don't plan, act and correct in the moment. Don't think first and then act. Act and then think accordingly in the present moment. All right, so don't think about what you're gonna do and then act. No, act. And then when a problem arises, in the moment, find a solution. In that moment, not in advance. You see, so you want to train yourself to fix things as the moment comes. For example, I teach guys to approach a woman, but don't think of what you're gonna say. Only say whatever comes out. So for example, you see her, don't say, okay, I'm gonna say this line. No, just walk. She's a year, walk, open your mouth, and whatever comes out, comes out. Don't think, and then walk, because women are gonna sense they're gonna sense that you're like planning things out. No. The other one is don't criticize yourself. All right. So if you fuck up, just observe yourself fucking up. All right. Don't say, oh, I'm wrong. Just observe yourself fucking up. Now you're gonna have a natural tendency to judge yourself. Just observe yourself, to judging yourself. That's all you gotta do. Just observe it. Okay. So if you hear that voice, I fucked up, simply observe it. And the best way to get through that is to notice in the breath, because it's gonna take away your attention from your mind to the present moment. The other one is speak louder. If you're someone who speaks too low, speak louder. Okay, because a lot of the times we speak way too low, and we think that speaking louder we're gonna fuck it up. No, speak louder. Now you're gonna feel uncomfortable. That's the thing. Speak louder, even though it feels uncomfortable. Get used to the negative feedback, and then in the moment, fix it up. Okay, don't say I'm gonna speak loud, but if I get too negative feedback, I'm gonna speak lower. No, in that moment, adjust. But get used to speaking louder, because most people speak way too low, and that's a sign of having low confidence, and that's part of the inhibition. The other one is tell people how you feel. Express yourself. If you like a guy, tell the guy that you like him. Get used to expressing yourself. That's why when I talk to girls, I'm very direct. I'm very open about how I feel. That's why a lot of the shit that I say here is kind of crazy, don't you think? You would think I would get a whole bunch of dislikes with the kind of stuff that I say. you know? And it's because I've gotten used to telling people how I feel. So when I speak it, people can be like, oh, okay, that's how he feels. Oh, okay, well, he has Skype sex. Oh, okay. Like stuff like that. Like, it becomes normal, all right? So you have to learn how to fully express yourself. Now, you're going to fuck up sometimes. You're going to say, oh, I did this wrong. But in that moment, you're going to notice yourself fucking up. So the next time, you're going to be a lot more congruent, more in that middle path, which is a sweet spot. The other one is you need to totally ignore negative feedback, all right? Just see the negative feedback and let go of it. When it comes in a moment, okay, see it and then let go. Okay, don't see it and see it pass by and you're acting, you're already in the future, you're just looking at it. Okay, you're talking to you're in the present moment, but your mind is in the past. That's what causes that friction, that inhibition. You need to fuck up, observe it, see what's going on, see what you did wrong, and then let it go. You're gonna naturally get used to it and you're gonna naturally learn the right behavior. But what's gonna stop you from growing is when you just hold on to it and you keep thinking about it. And you gotta go on Google or even ask me what's going on. You see, see what I'm saying? So it's pretty much how you can have how you open your personality. You have to let go of all of the negative feedback and see it for what it is, just feedback, and use it accordingly and let go of it. And stop judging yourself and treating yourself so harshly, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this was long, and I wrote a lot of notes for this, so the delivery may have been a little choppy. You're gonna see it being a little choppy, but it's because I wrote the notes for this. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, comment, let me know what you guys think, subscribe, recommend your friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.